Mic check, check, 1, 2, 3.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3.
Deborah, are you hearing us loud and clear?
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Excellent. Thank you, Ophelia. Okay, at this time, everyone, we're going to do some mic checks and some video chats for those persons who will be opening their videos to give the shout outs. Good afternoon again to everyone. Hello, Whitney.
Hello, we miss you. Ophelia, Miss Betty,
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon.
Jack, Mr. Ngumbo. Miss Betty, can you send Jack Jack Hammer so you can wake up?
Oh, yeah, just give me a minute. I'll be back. Just a minute.
Where's Brian? Where's Brian? Come, let's go. Let's get going. Where's Brian? No.
Just to let you know,
Miss Betty, can you send Jack
on the
Jack Hammer so you can wake up?
Oh, yeah, just give me a minute. I'll be back. Just a minute.
Where's Brian? Where's Brian? Come, let's go. Let's get going. Where's Brian? Okay, I guess we have something recording and.
Okay, let's continue with the mic checks. I'm definitely hearing Mr. Samuel very loud and clear. We're getting some feedback on our end. We're getting some feedback on And I'm hearing myself over there.
All right, yes, I'm back. Mr. Dyer is presently on another session, but he's going to struggle to merge the two.
Okay, just Jack, we're getting quite a bit of feedback from your microphone. Is it coming? You may need to mute the Facebook.
Yes, I'm back. Okay, for my mic, do you have a feedback? He's going to struggle to merge the two.
Yes, Jack, mute your mic, Jack.
Let's try the testing again. Jack, okay, obvious, I see there's a highlight on you. Are you hearing me all right? Can you try your microphone now?
Sorry, you sound very like distant, very far, very low.
Were you hearing me louder before?
Not really. You sounded like you're far away.
Okay, let's see if it's on our end. Let me just check another person. Deborah, are you there?
I am, Nicole. Hi, colleagues.
How are you hearing me? The volume on your end.
Similar to what Abdi has said, you're kind of
Alright.
distant.
So let's work on it here. Okay, so it seems to be that I need to speak louder. Is that any better?
Much, yes.
Much better. Yes.
So I have to raise the volume because the microphone is, okay, I recognize it further than I thought.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I'm hearing you. I'm not having any feedback. So let's do some more checks. Whitney, are you there? All right. Orika, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, excellent.
I'm here.
If you will be turning your camera on today, when I call on your name, could you try turning on your camera now? Okay, excellent. Maybe you could lower your okay.
Obviously, want to keep that energy.
Excellent. Okay, hi Jack, great. Okay.
Right.
Hello to St. Kitts and Nevis. See Mr. Dyer in the background. Hello. All right, so is it Zoe Benedito?
Hi, good afternoon.
Will you be turning your camera on today?
Sadly, I'm unable to right now.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
hello to Ophelia.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Will you be turning on your camera today?
Ophelia has to
Okay,
turn her camera on.
there we go.
Ophelia, are you hearing me well?
You could lower the camera a little bit more. You see more of the roof. Okay, okay, that's better. Lower a bit more the camera. All right.
Orika, where's your blue shirt?
So
I
Deanne,
have on a blue pants. I don't have a blue shirt that can fit up at the moment, but I have on a blue pants.
color for today.
Oh, blue.
Yeah. Deanne Wood, hello.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm here. I'll turn on my camera in a few moments.
Okay, excellent. And then we have some Sedima team members. Leading out would be our Deputy Executive Director, Ms. Robiner. Hello, Andrea. If you're on, Andrea, okay, I think I've lowered my voice as well. Hi, Andrea, can you turn on your camera and or your microphone? All right, we'll circle back to Andrea. Sharon, hello. Another team member from Sedima.
Hi, Nicole. Hello.
Thanks for coming on. You want people to, if we have some NDCs on the call, we could put some faces to the names. Do you want to turn your camera on? Is it possible?
All right, give me a few minutes, then I'll turn it on. Thank you.
All right, so Gail is on already. I can see her lovely face. Gail, you want to say hello?
Hey, yes, I am.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Okay.
And then we have Hayato.
Good afternoon.
Excellent, I'm seeing you. And he's wearing the Sedima green shirt.
Yeah.
When
Sorry,
he
the
goes back-
background is not Sedina, but here, Sedina.
Oh, yeah, excellent. Sedima through and through representation. All right, we also have Deborah. Hello, Deborah. Dr. Brown.
Hi, Nicole. How are you, Dr. Greenidge? Hi, colleagues. I can turn on, but I'm sorry I'm not wearing blue.
We'll forgive you today, Deborah.
I'm not wearing blue either. That's a thing, it's a Nevis thing.
Okay. I was feeling left out there for a minute.
Okay, so let's circle back to see if we can hear Miss Grosvenor. Okay,
Oh, there's,
okay, we can see her.
Hi, and I'm wearing my blue.
Oh,
Excellent. Oh, well, we wish the camera could point down to see some socks. We have blue socks.
oh,
on.
that counts, yeah.
Yes, and the blue socks, yes. I asked him about his colors this morning and he showed me the socks.
there are some kids today.
Yes. We heard you loud and clear, Andrea. And I saw we also have another Sedima team member that logged on. And some of you, at least from the NDCs, it would be good for you to see her face. Miss Susan Norgrove, can you please say hello if it's possible and turn the camera on? Okay, excellent. So we see her. Thanks, Susan. All right, so we are approaching our start time in another 2 minutes. So stand by.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Joining us on Zoom and joining us on our YouTube. I'm Keith Goddard. I'm the Communications and Public Relations Specialist with SEDEMA, which is the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency. And we are getting social today as we celebrate International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction, celebrated every year since 1997. And I'm joined today by Dr. Nicole Greenidge, who is a disaster risk management specialist with SEDEMA. Good afternoon to you, Nicole.
Good afternoon, Keith, and good afternoon to our viewers.
And I know that you're very excited about what we're doing today. This has been a passion for you.
Yeah, it definitely is a passion and it's a first for SEDEMA. And I look forward to hearing all of the wonderful actions that have been taken on today's International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction.
Well, before we get started, and we're going to delve into what's happening in some of the participating states, we're going to hear from our Deputy Executive Director, Andrea Grosvenor. Andrea, are you there with us?
I am certainly here. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Afternoon.
afternoon.
Okay, great. So as we are looking at this session today, I've been asked to say a few words. And so I just want to recognize my distinguished disaster coordinators and staff from SEDEMA and our hosts, of course, Keith and Nicole. I'm very pleased and excited to be part of this event, which is commemorating IDDR Day, as we focus on early warning and action for all in the Caribbean. We are getting social as it relates to early warning systems. And this is important because early warning systems is all about saving lives. But we do also want to preserve livelihoods, since given the significant investment that we as small island states put in these things and the things that make our societies function. So as you know, the CDM strategy identifies a clear goal of safer, more resilient and sustainable SEDEMA participating states through CDM. So saving lives and livelihoods are at the center of CDM, which is aligned to the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction. Early warning systems is a key focus on the priority area 4 of the CDM strategy, which seeks to ensure community early warning systems are integrated, improved, and expanded. This is having an integrated system of hazard monitoring, forecasting and prediction, disaster risk assessment, communication and preparedness activities, systems and processes that enables individuals, communities, governments, businesses, and others to take timely action to reduce disaster risk in advance of hazardous events. And early warning systems must cover multiple hazards, as we've seen over the last years. And these are hazards that act simultaneously, hazards that act cascadingly, and hazards that act cumulatively. And we've seen this with the COVID-19 and the flooding that has occurred simultaneously, and the ash and lahars cascadingly. And also cumulatively, we've had droughts, and then we've had it followed by heavy rains, et cetera, et cetera. As you are also aware, SEDEMA has embarked on a number of tools and processes to support the participating states to identify and prioritize gaps for strengthening multi-hazard early warning systems dating back to 2013. Specifically, this includes updating the CDM legislation through regulations to address early warning systems. We have also developed the multi-hazard early warning systems toolkit around the components of early warning to provide relevant support to the countries. We have developed the Muse checklist and the model multi-hazard early warning systems policy and the 6-step process for development and implementation of the Muse roadmap. We've supported the customization of Muse indicators with WMOR and UNDRR. And as it relates to governance, we convened the Regional Early Warning Systems Consortium. We therefore, as you know as well too, we would have had a meeting with UNDR today to celebrate also IDDR Day, and many presentations by the countries give good testimony, which highlight that these interventions are providing significant support to countries within the SEDEMA system. So with just under $500,000 US allocated to early warning systems through SEDEMA, working along with our partners, we've been able to make great strides and to support our valuable participating states in the region as highlighted. And I want to highlight and to acknowledge the contributions of our executive director, and she would have been overseeing this portfolio along with Dr. Alexia Cook and now Dr. Nicole Greenidge in terms of making these matters a reality. But notwithstanding these interventions, based on the 2021 Muse checklist in the Caribbean Regional Summary Report, although variations exist in the Muse and the governance arrangements in our states, there are persistent weaknesses. And I'm sure that there will be a time to also highlight all of that. However, in the meantime, we look forward to hearing from you on the exciting initiatives that have been undertaken in your country and to give us the opportunity to shout out, and to really celebrate with you. But we also want you to take the time to also tell us about some of the challenges being faced that can guide us in the interventions as we move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, there are emerging opportunities that are coming on board with the early warning systems. We have the regional strategic roadmap for advancing multi-hazard impact-based early warning services in the Caribbean 2020-2030 being done by the World Bank. And we also now are beginning to roll out the GCF Early Warning Systems Readiness Project, where we are going to be looking at having a communications, looking at some of the issues related to communications, having a work plan. Along with that, how do also a strategic plan for advancing the roadmaps in countries, supporting other countries who may not have roadmaps as yet. So there are a lot of opportunities, and because we recognize that we must align our efforts to meeting the demands and the new realities of our participating states, strengthen our efforts to address the needs of the most vulnerable, whilst expanding our partner engagements with key sectoral actors, including the private sector. We know that there are systemic issues that need to be addressed, and we want to advance the work with countries on their national Muse policies. I'm sure Nicole will give you the great news about Barbados and their Muse policies, and also supporting our countries in meeting the standards for early warning systems. So thank you, our key stakeholders, for being a part of this conversation. I also want to extend our thanks to our development partners and other key EWS strategic partners, even though they may not be here, because we have worked together to save lives, livelihoods, and to keep the hopes of the Caribbean development aspirations alive. And I think that deserves a great shout out. Woo!
Okay, like, can we open the cameras and give Sedima a big shout out, guys?
Woo!
Turn your mics on. Just get the see Abdi is there shouting out. Eureka.
Hooray.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. So they're good. We have the macro picture from Andrea. Andrea, thank you so very much for giving us that broad macro picture. But for you, Nicole, involved in planning, what is the significance of this to you?
Well, the fact about it, Keith, is that, sometimes internationally we feel disconnected from these targets. Our countries sign on, they're signatories to these international frameworks. And for disaster management, that's the International Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, the Sendai Framework for International Disaster Risk Reduction. And there are targets that have been identified. And by 2030, there is a target G, that speaks to the fact that we will substantially increase the awareness and accessibility to early warning systems to people around the globe.
Yeah, make this make sense to the average person at home sitting down. When you talk about early warning systems, the woman, the man in the street, the woman who's in her kitchen, make early warnings make sense to her.
Well, the reality, Keith, is that if you were in a kitchen and you're cooking, right? We are told to have smoke detectors and so on in our homes. If there's too much smoke, the detector is supposed to go up to let you know if you weren't watching the pot, you need to get there, get that pot off, extinguish if there's a fire, so that you prevent your whole kitchen or your whole house from burning down. Now that's on a small scale in your home. There's a warning system that's in place. When we talk about an early warning system, we're talking about the integrated system that helps you to know, hey, there's a hazard, there's a threat. 2, what is it going to do? What is the impact that it will have on me, on my business, on my home, on my community? And then what action will I take? What action is necessary? at the end of the day, we want people to have the capacity, Keith, to take action. If people don't have the capacity to respond to the warning when they get it, then we have not been effective. So an early warning system, the multi-hazard early warning system, it has 4 components. The one where we talk about the hazard, what is the hazard? What are the hazards that we need to be aware of? And Keith, we are finding that we are having unpredictable hazards these days. I mean, if we look at the context of Barbados, and then they have like 3 hazards in 1 year.
What sort of different hazards we experience in Caribbean?
Well, we have the one that we're more familiar with, and we know it comes every year. We have the hydrometeorological ones. We have hurricanes that come our way. We have flooding that comes as a result. You have the high winds from the hazard. We have landslides that may be associated with that. So that's the hydromet side. You may have storm surge now, Keith. You can have tsunamis now related to the seismic, those seismic hazards. We can have earthquakes. Keith, you want me to keep going? Okay. We can have fire. We can have COVID. We have the food security issues that we see as a result. So the list is growing, and we need to take action, because from a climate change perspective, what we're finding is that things are becoming more frequent, they're becoming more intense, and also there's an unpredictable level, Keith. There's also the complexities. You know, who would have thought that a war in the Ukraine could have such an impact on us here in this in our little islands? But we see how it's affecting food security, and the way how disaster management has gone. We're not only talking about hazards from a hydromet side, the natural related ones, but you have these other ones. We have the technological ones, Keith, and we also have those that may be related to those civil unrest and so forth. So this is the hazard landscape that we as disaster managers have to be able to work within, and therefore it means that we can't do it on our own. We have to work with others.
Oh, and that brings me to my next question. How are the NGOs in the participating states, the 19 participating states, how are they measuring them? How are they doing?
Well, Andrea alluded to it earlier in her opening remarks, where she said that there are some gaps that we need to fill. And the National Disaster Office is going to be central. They are central to unlocking some of the issues that we have with the warning system, and then going to the community level. So we talk about early warning systems, but in the SEDIMA strategy, the CDM strategy, we talk about that from having a resilient community, because we have given and we have warnings that are accessible. So what are the problems, Keith? We are finding that we don't have the information that's readily accessible. Some countries, they are making some really wonderful headway with their alert system, CAP, and so forth. Technologically, if you can get it as an application on your phone, and that can tell you about, you know, maybe your hydromet hazards. But what we find is that we don't necessarily have the information about other hazards coming in that modality. Then also from St. Vincent's perspective with Soufriere, what they realize is that not everybody is going in the direction of technology. So we can't just afford to go with one media of communicating that information. So we need to ensure that we have each of the different aspects for communicating the information robust enough. So one, we don't have the information on all of the hazards that we need to have in terms of what impact they can potentially have on us. We may have the information on the social side, on, you know, locked away in a social service in a country, but it doesn't connect now with the information on the hazard then to be able to say what I must do. What is it that I need to do? So the vulnerability information, Keith, we have gaps there. We have gaps on the risk information. That's one of them. And there are about 6 others that are priorities for action.
Wow, quite a bit to learn, but I think we have St. Kitts on the line with us. St. Kitts is with us. Where is Ophelia? Where is that? We want to know what they are doing in St. Kitts to, you know, get people to understand about early warning systems. Ophelia?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Well, we want to see your camera. Where's the St. Kitts crew? St. Kitts and Nevis crew. Oh,
So we have myself as Ophelia Blanchard. We have Mr. Abdia Samuel, National Disaster Coordinator. We have Eureka Lennon Petty. She's the Deputy National Disaster Coordinator. We
tell us-
have a team from Nevis. So
Tell us
I'll
what you
hand
guys have been doing. What have you guys been doing to promote early warning systems in St. Kitts and Nevis?
I'll turn you over to Mr. Abdia Samuel.
Obvious, you have the floor.
First of all, thank you for having us. Thank you for having St. Kitts and Nevis here. Shout out to my colleagues over across the Narrows. That's how we say it here. Brian Dyer, Jack, and the entire team. I also want to acknowledge Miss Eureka Lennon Petty. She's overseas, but she found the time to join us. She has been the brainchild of a lot of the activities that we have been doing in St. Kitts and Nevis in commemoration of the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction. So in that light, Ms. Petty, I want to turn it over to you to highlight the activities that are ongoing. We have been busy all day today with various trivias, engaging in discussions, visiting some of our sites, early warning sites, and so on. And we have also seen a number of activities where our stakeholders are playing their part in bringing the message through participating in the activities we have outlined. For example, you see all of us repping our blue in commemorating the day. You have seen some creative stuff from the telecommunications providers in particular. Hopefully that we can share some pictures and show you. And we have been having some exciting activities in terms of bringing awareness. We want to use our cultural forms. We want to use what is culturally friendly to the people to take the message to everyone that early warnings do save lives and livelihoods. Eureka, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that, Mr. Samuel. So we started our week. We decided to do a week of activities, and we started on the 8th of October, which was Saturday, with the church service, because we decided that most importantly, we need to thank God for forever guiding us and protecting us in the Caribbean. So we wanted to recognize the presence of God. So we decided on the 8th with the worship at the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Molyneux, and that included our NEMA stakeholders, staff, and volunteers. On the Sunday now, we updated our Facebook profile with the IDDRR logo in a photo frame to, just to jump off the week to show our dedication to recognizing the importance of disaster risk reduction. We continued on Monday. For the past 2 weeks, we've been going out in the communities and interviewing older persons, senior citizens, about their personal experience in tropical cyclones, what occurred back then, because that because of the older persons in the Federation, they would have had a different experience from what we've been experiencing now. And so we wanted to hear from them what it was like back then in terms of the advance warning that they got for tropical cyclones, as well as the response, how the response was and the impact. And so we would have done about 8 interviews with persons within the community, and we decided from those 8 interviews, we chose one that we've currently turned into a mini documentary that will be launched this evening at 7:30 on ZIZ and shared as well on our social media platforms and other platforms. We then, on Thursday, the actual day, today, we decided that, let's do something fun. We asked persons to wear blue to represent disaster risk reduction. International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction, as Mr. Samuel said. There's one particular telecommunication company that decided to take it to a next level and have an internal competition. And we recognize their commitment to disaster risk reduction, as they are one of our most important partners, and they continue to support us in our efforts. We've done radio trivias. We did 3 radio stations, one in the morning, midday, and in the afternoon. The one in the afternoon hasn't occurred as yet, where we've asked persons 3 questions on each radio station. And these questions, they range from things about International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction, early warning, and our disaster risk reduction mechanism in St. Kitts and Nevis. So we wanted to test the knowledge of St. Kitts, the presence of St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as an opportunity to give back to them. And we were proudly sponsored, of course, by our telecommunication companies, Flow Digicel and the Cable, who continue to be a long-standing partner. And then, as I mentioned before, later today, we will have the launch of the mini documentary. Then we cap off the week tomorrow, the 14th, with something fun. Initially, we started a karaoke competition in 2019. We were hoping to make an annual event, but everything with COVID, we were interrupted in doing so. But we decided that since the pandemic has now reached an endemic stage, that we can now reintroduce the karaoke competition. And so tomorrow, 16 persons, 2 from each district, will be competing against each other. Just a little fun engagement to engage the community members as well as the volunteers. And during that, we'll also have an intermission where persons can, choose a word and sing a song. And these words would be related to disaster risk reduction. So once they pick that word, they have to find a song that contains those words to win some prizes. And so that's what we have for the week. And so far it's been going well, and we've been having some good feedback.
Are you guys going to be uploading that karaoke competition to the Facebook?
Snippets of it. We will send snippets of it.
What has been the response to? How have you found the response in St. Kitts and Nevis to the early warning systems and the projects that you've been trying to implement there? What has been the general feedback?
Okay, so let me just speak from the policy level. From the policy level, we have had significant support, bearing in mind that St. Kitts and Nevis just went through a change of government. And in our discussions with the new leadership, they have affirmed their commitment to ensuring that we get the necessary financial and budgetary allocation to enhance our early warning systems. As the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Chu, would have said, losing one life would be one life too many for any significant amount of money. So we were happy to get those words from our leadership. So that in itself was reassuring to us. What is also reassuring is the partnership with the various telecommunications providers and also the media houses, such as radio stations, television stations, the cable, and also Digicel and Flow, in terms of they coming on board, partnering with us to ensure that they help with enhancing early warning mechanisms in St. Kitts and Nevis. And not just St. Kitts. So Keith, make sure that when you're addressing us, you say St. Kitts and Nevis. We are sensitive to that. We love our sister island and Nevis, and Jack will speak to it. So that is from that end, we have seen a significant interest also from the private sector, because bear this in mind, as a small island developing state, St. Kitts and Nevis depends heavily on tourism. And having tourism, yes, and having a level of resiliency and redundancy in our telecommunications provide services, as well as ensuring that we can get the message in an appropriate time to the individuals. That is a significant investment. It makes us it makes St. Kitts and Nevis an investors-friendly environment. It also makes the population, gives the population a level of confidence for them to be able to depend on NEMA and its framework and its regional partners such as NEMA to be able to guide them, providing that guidance when we are under the threat of any type of hazard. So with that said, I think St. Kitts and Nevis has had a jolt of rejuvenated energy for us to be able to invest further in early warning systems. For example, we have partnered with the cable. Thank you to the CEO and the staff at the cable, because we have completed our broadcast room right here at NEMO. We have fast internet service. We have DIA into the service. So now we are able to connect with all the radio stations directly, the television stations. So we no longer have to go to their studios, but rather we use our studio right now to be able to connect. We also are partnering with the radio stations, and hopefully very soon we should have our emergency interruption system, broadcast system operational, so that we can interrupt any programming and be able to broadcast to the general public. In the meantime, the cable has an MOU with NEMO, whereby once we need to do any scrolls on the television, that is automatic. We will also pursue the CAP. We have been in discussion also with the telecommunications providers so that we can do that cell connectivity SMS service, whereby once you have that cell, once you fall within that range, you can actually get an emergency message. And I can share my experience just before Ian impacted the Florida. I was actually in Florida heading to the Dominican Republic. And while traveling from Miami Airport to Florida Lauderdale Airport, I got a message on my phone telling me to seek emergency shelter as there is a threat of a tornado. There's a tornado warning. And I found it interesting. And this is something that we're going to pursue. We already have the partnership so that we could enhance. And lastly, so that Ms. Petty can actually put the icing on the cake, is the fact that we want to make sure that we have the infrastructure to support the vulnerable groups in the community, because it's not everyone, as Dr. Nicole Greenwich would have been saying, has the technology. Not everyone has a radio, not everyone has a television. So we want to invest in the community personnel to be able to give them the message so they can take the message to those individuals in a society. So we want to prepare the firemen, the policemen. We want to prepare the health workers who work in the fields. We want to prepare also the environmental workers who work in the fields, and make sure that they have the information readily and available. They have the necessary tools and equipment to be able to carry that verbal message to the individuals who don't have and are not friendly to technology. So we want to incorporate both and ensure that St. Kitts and Nevis has a resilient early warning mechanism, not only through technology, but also through the human resource. Thank you. Ms. Petty, over to you.
Excellent work there, Abdias. Excellent work you guys are doing there. So, Jack?
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. I'll just continue from where Mr. Samuel, Ms. Petty would have ended. But before I go any further, Nicole Greenwich, man, you set the tone. I am so pleased with what you were saying, because and the passion on how you demonstrated your message, it made me know you understood the depth of early warning system at heart. In Nevis end, we took a very participatory approach. And in that case, we just did not end at the level of educating the public. We're actually working on the public becoming our messenger. So instead of them being a passive listener, they become our messenger. We would have started with school-based. And that's why earlier o'clock I would have sent a YouTube link, which you will look and see the activities. All the schools were spreading. Nevis is small, so it had about 10 primary schools, 10 or 11. So they spread it from January to December, leaving October to be the month for IDDR, where all the schools now will participate. And the technique on that was to ensure a particular school owns a hazard. Because when you ask all the schools to observe every hazard, they will end up observing none. So you now ask Charleston Primary to observe earthquake, St. James Primary to observe landslide, St. John's or Elizabeth Pemberton to observe tsunami, which of course falls for the Carib wave exercise. So these children gain ownership in the formation of the messages. They are in public service announcement, print, audio, visual. They take the posters and the flyers home. And find it's so interesting to see that parents, because their child appears on a poster, find it necessary to spread it around the neighborhood. See my daughter. So persons started finding themselves as part of the message formation and dissemination. So we really believe strongly in that participatory approach. And when we saw that working, we shifted it now to faith-based, where the churches now are also assigned hazards. The Methodist Church is for hurricane, the Wesleyan is for earthquake, and I must say the NDC and the director have been heavily supportive in all these ideas. So we have 7 days, they handle tsunami. When the month comes, those institutions, the church and the school feels like, okay, I am in charge of this hazard. Messaging now becomes very strong, and that for sure will lead gradually towards behavioral change to best practices. So this year, the nail was really hit hard, meaning it just targeted what we've been doing, and that is multi-hazard towards early warning system. That's why I applauded what Nicole was saying. The multi-hazard now, we saw the need of not only defining those hazards, but spreading our horizon in terms of forming new audience groups. So this year, we decided to form the artist or the creative audience group, the business audience group, and the counseling audience group. That word for now, we use it counseling, but it will soon be shifted to something like self-help because it has to go bigger than that word. Why do we choose the counseling, for instance? Much of times, counseling during disaster comes in a proactive phase. When it has happened, that's when the counselor shows up. But there is a need, especially when we follow the disaster cycle, preparedness, mitigation, response, and recovery. There is a need for persons' resilience to be built early o'clock on how to bounce back, where they are aware that now that nothing has happened, you think you are all right. By the time catastrophe faces you, you may panic, you may collapse, you may face X, Y, Z, and when such a time comes, this is what you should do. So we purposefully got these persons involved, where they too now will be spread along the months from January through to December, touching the counseling and psychosocial support based on the dynamics of the hazards. So we have that. The next thing that steps on is the businesses. And the schools have helped us so much in that because we have businesses supporting each of the schools during the mini Olympic in Nevis called interprimary. Now, we don't only want businesses to be known as sponsors, but we want them also to be consumed by our messages to become our messengers. So just imagine you find TDC or Digicel's manager appearing on a poster saying, drop cover, hold on. It takes it to another million. And one thing we realized when we look at the Malthus theory, a hierarchy of needs, safety, unfortunately, is never at the top. It's always below. Whereas what is at the top is what? Self-actualization. So until safety becomes a product that can be prestigious, it will always be a reactive tool that when danger occurs, that's when we think of it. So the involvement of businesses, styling the messaging, supporting it to an angle, it makes it become appetizing where someone will be able to forego and end a basketball match or a model competition just to watch these sweet messages on risk reduction. And that led us to the next target audience group, which is the creative, made up of musicians, made up of models, poets, etc. We don't only want them to come in for an event and leave. We want them to be a part of the process. So the musicians now will be trained first in the dynamics of risk reduction, where they become artist set members. However, in all the SOPs for each hazard, these musicians will compose songs based on that. So original songs to be composed on earthquake, original songs to be composed on tsunami, original songs to be composed on landslide. Then IDDR of this nature is a grand concert with maybe a guest artist like Rihanna just coming to endorse Drop Cover Hold On. It changes the whole picture of it. It becomes appetizing where everyone wants to be a part of. So that early warning system, as Nika was saying, from the CDMA standpoint, which I totally agree, is not limited to just a tool where, okay, this system is going to be, it moves right down to behavioral response to good practices towards a hazard as to what to do before, during, and after. When that is built so strongly, then we know resilience has hit the target. So that is where NIVIS is really pushing on towards early warning system. And gradually but steadily, we're getting there. Now, challenges that would have surrounded this, from what I would have spoken, you realize that it is a new paradigm that moves out from the traditional approach. So at times it comes a little not looking like what traditional mind would have expected, you know, just getting the messages on the TV, on the radio. So the whole pattern, though it is accepted, you're still finding change, that change of approach being a little hicks. But not that they resist the message or the appropriate persons adapting to it. That's where we face one problem. And another key challenge is because it is not in the mainstream approach. When you look at projects, what is being written is public education. And what do they look at public education? Printing of flyers, printing of brochures. So it makes all of this initiative to go at zero budget, which can, I recall, there was a time where we had to compose songs for hurricane, and the most recent one with the involvement of Miss Petty from Sankey, which was tsunami. All of these artists spent sleepless nights just to do it at zero budget. That will discourage, if that tend to be the pattern all through, the zeal will die down. And that will only occur because the status quo still follows a traditional approach, not recognizing this shift of paradigm. So that is something which I believe it should be looked upon. The Bible even says, if you put new wine in old wine skin, it's going to break. So the skin has to change. There should be that focus, that direct attention on disaster communication, not mixing it with management, but looking at it as communication with all its flexibility and the versatile nature. And if that is looked upon and a framework is drawn based on that, it will make all this a reality with ease. So before I leave, we have, okay, she feels a little shy. Liaison officer,
we want to see everybody from St. Kitts and Nevis, so we can give a big shout out to everybody. So we're going to ask everybody to turn their cameras on, and we're going to applaud St. Kitts and Nevis for what they're doing. So we want to see all the cameras on, whether you're Sedema, whether you're St. Kitts, whether you are, oh, there you go, Gail, Deborah, Tia.
Right there.
Okay, Deborah, Susan, Zoe. Andrea's there. Andrea,
that's going right there.
Oh, big shout out to you guys. We're so happy to see what you're doing in St. Kitts and Nevis. We are extremely happy, and we hope that at some point some of the other PSs can, you know, transfer some of that knowledge into the other states and get so much happening for early warning systems. Nicole, seriously, you must be happy in terms of what you heard from Abdias and Jack and Eureka. I want to get that name correct. Eureka, right? Yeah.
Oh, definitely. You know, what I really picked up from Jack's presentation just now is the fact that everybody, the intent is that everybody would be an early warning system.
Oh,
Every entity being an early warning system, everyone being an agent of change. And I really love
and at the church thing. And at the church and
the church's involvement, private sector involvement,
schools involved.
schools and so on, owning it so that there's the buy-in there. So Jack and the rest of the team, Mr. Dyer, I want to know the name of the lovely young lady next to you. Hello, she's shy.
So shy.
She didn't want to say something.
Whitney
Hello.
Glassford.
What's the name?
Whitney Glassford.
Whitney.
Oh,
Yes.
Exactly.
Earlier.
So
Yes,
shy,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
queen.
Whitney, you want to say something now?
Say
Go
something
ahead.
now.
Well, you're
Just
being
support
seen by
each
all,
other.
you're also being seen on YouTube, so. It seems to be a little shy.
So far, I've been working on 2 projects. I am trying to do the community beautification, which will get them to clean and cut down trees every quarter, maybe because they usually do it just before hurricane approach. So I'm trying to get them to do it yearly and at least twice, sometimes 3 times a year. And I'm also working on a summer safety program, which will involve persons between the age of 7 to maybe 35 or more, so that everybody will be more involved in learning about disaster, anything safety-wise that will help them when it comes, any hurricane or anything is to happen.
Excellent. See,
Excellent.
Whitney, that wasn't so hard after all. And it's Let's Get Social Day. So this is really not meant to be so formal. It's meant to be more informal. Feel free to make noise,
Your hair down.
you know?
I think at that point, I just show my socks to support these guys.
Okay.
I'll show my socks.
Yeah, you get ready.
I
You
did
get-
have the blue socks.
Oh, you can get
See
your
my-
foot up there.
you
No,
get my
no,
socks?
they didn't see your socks. Keith, we
I
have
can't.
to help
My
you. You
socks.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you,
on
Keith.
your
Thank you, Keith.
acrobatics.
Thank
Yes,
you, Keith.
Work on your
That's so
My
good.
acrobatics.
socks, my socks.
Flexibility.
Yes.
But I wanted to just comment on what Abdias had said in terms of the commitment now of the government. You know, so oftentimes when governments change, priorities change. And I'm really excited to hear that the government of St. Kitts and Nevis are fully backing the Disaster Management Office with their plans to ensure that early warning systems gets the priority that it needs, gets the resourcing that it needs. So well done to our colleagues there in
In
St.
St.
Kitts
Kitts and
and Nevis.
Yo, we have not heard, Keith, we have not heard from Mr. Dyer. We have not heard Mr. Dyer's voice yet.
Where's Mr. Dyer?
Mr. Dyer, we want to hear your voice.
Is that Mr. Dyer in the back there? I think he's following us on YouTube on his phone.
He was trying to shy away.
Mr.
Hi,
Dyer, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, I'm just here to support my team. You know, I have many sticks in, lots of fires. So I'm happy that they stepped up to the plate and have pushed the IDDR program throughout the year. I myself would have made some presentation at the churches during the week. I did inform them of the early warning systems here on the island, and that they may, be familiar with it and what they can do whenever these sirens are, goes off and stuff. So it's a well-rounded approach, spearheaded by the communication unit and married with the community liaison team. So I'm happy, and next week we will have some additional activities going on, spreading throughout the month of October. So it's the whole month. So even though we celebrate or commemorate on the 13th, we have activities on either side of the 13th. That to ensure that the word is spread and ensure that we have buy-in from all sectors. Right.
So you guys are going deep. They're not just doing a surface day affair, Keith. They're working the month of October to bring awareness and to highlight early warning systems. So well done again to the team in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yes. And next week we'll have the minister involved as well. So we could send some photos.
Support from the top all the way down.
Definitely.
Yes.
We are so pleased. We are so pleased with what's happening in St. Kitts and Nevis. Really, we're going to have to continue that conversation. Though I really want us to follow what's happening in the participating states of SEDIMA in terms of early warning systems. You know what time it is?
What time is it, Keith?
Oh, we have to. Unfortunately, we have to go.
We have to go.
But what are your last messages?
Keith, before you leave though, Keith, real quickly,
Yes.
just allow me to thank our colleagues and neighbors, but in particular, I want to thank Ms. Andrea Grosvenor. Andrea, thank you so much for joining me this morning, and good morning, SKN, where we brought the message to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis via that platform. I think it went well. We will have to go back another time and share more information. So thank you. I see the thumbs up, Andrea. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, SEDIMA, for the support. And we hope that we can continue working together in building resilience through early warning system and through CDM, Comprehensive Disaster Management. Until then, I salute you, SEDIMA.
Thank you so much, Abdius. I'm going to give you the last word.
Okay, so kind of you, Keith. What I wanted to say though is that today we have St. Kitts and Nevis on, and the spotlight is on St. Kitts and Nevis. But we do have 18 other participating states, and we want to ensure that they too are on board. And I do know for sure, coming from Barbados, for example, before I came online for this presentation here, for this online Facebook streaming that we're doing, also on YouTube, that Barbados has just recently completed a multi-hazard early warning systems policy.
So let's give them a round of applause, guys.
For Barbados, yes. And so they had their steering committee meeting, and they are looking to present that now to the cabinet. And what they did, Keith, they didn't just stop at having a policy. They're now looking at the framework for implementation, engagement, and the mechanism to keep pushing behind it. So what I'm really highlighting here is that even though we don't see them here on the call at this time, I know that the SEDIMA participating states are doing work. And what I want to encourage us to do is to reach back out. We're going to reach back out to our participating states to let them send us, the highlights from what they've been doing during the week, and also even today to promote early warning systems. We need to take action. The reality, as I said, is that climate change is not, it's not going to get easier, Keith. Disaster managers out there, it's not going to get easier. We're not going to see less. It's becoming more intense. This is our reality. And I look forward to more sessions like this where we can just feed off of the energy of each other and be encouraged that we're working and we are taking action to address these problems in our region. So, bye for now.
Thank you so much, guys. And thank you so much for coming on and joining us. Gail, Zoe, Deanne, Ophelia, Eureka.
Excellent, guys. Excellent.
Have a wonderful day. And remember, early warning systems save lives.
Yes.
Lovely. Love it. Yeah.
I know.
Bye-bye. See you next time.
Next time.
Next time.
Next time.
Wonderful. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Blessings, blessings.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.
All the best, everyone. Have a great
Bye,
day.
everyone.
Bye.
All right, Keith, please, are we off the record now?